Week 9 of Dana White's Contender Series is this week. I'm going to give you a prediction and breakdown of all 5 fights on this card, starting with Lucas Rocha versus Davi Bittencourt. I'm not 100% sure on who I'm going to pick here. I think this fight could honestly go either way. Davi Bittencourt is a very good wrestler, a very dominant guy on the ground, has shown the ability to submit guys and finish them by TKO on the ground. Again, like a stockier guy, guy that is super strong. Lucas Rocha, though, better on the feet, has shown the ability to defend some takedowns. He does get taken down a little bit. I mean, it is getting definitely a little bit better. He's a younger guy here at 23 years of age and has shown the ability to grapple at least decently on the ground. It is flyweight, so a lot of these lower level weight division guys will be multifaceted, a lot more skills. Obviously, you'll have like for example, your Tattoo Terra, who's very elite on the ground and grappling, where they'll be much higher than Vergara or something like that, who will have like a base level wrestling or like nothing too impressive, but they'll have that base level compared to some of these higher weight classes that will just absolutely get mauled. So, I mean, all these guys have like base level grappling and everything like that, but for this one, I think I am going to go with Lucas Rocha. I mean, that's kind of my dilemma here, is that Bittencourt can definitely take this guy down and pretty much out grapple and out wrestle him and beat him up on the ground and get a submission eventually, because I believe Rocha has gotten his back taken in his last fight against Matias de Silva. Won that one by decision, but it was a pretty close fight. I think he got his back taken like a couple times in that one, and that's kind of his issue here, is he does have some really good moments where he does sprawl takedowns and has really good takedown defense, but once he sprawls it, he gives up his back a lot. And I am kind of worried that maybe if Davi Bittencourt notices that, he can hop on there and get him in a really bad position on the ground and take his back, a really dominant position within the scoring criteria. So that's kind of my worry here, but I think Lucas Rocha is going to be able to be better on the feet here. I think he might be able to catch Davi Bittencourt, and Davi Bittencourt can definitely come in here and shoot a really messy takedown, and Rocha can take over from there. He does, again, have a base level, decent grappling skill set. Rocha does. It's not up there with Bittencourt at all, but Rocha does have a decent skill set there. Has shown the ability to sometimes defend some of these takedowns, and I think he's going to be way better on the feet. So a lot of these guys, I don't know how it is with like some of the lower weight divisions, but I noticed a lot of these guys just don't wrestle when they're wrestlers. So that is quite a bit of worry with a lot of these matchups. It's not something I normally put in my mind for an actual card that the UFC puts on, because Dana White Contender Series fights are just so much different than regular cards. So I am going to go Lucas Rocha. I think he's going to be better on the feet. Guys that have shown the ability to have decent takedown defense have been doing decent on Dana White's Contender Series with the takedown defense, and I think he's going to be able to hang in there in the grappling. I just hope he just doesn't give up his back in this fight. So I'm going to go Lucas Rocha, probably by TKO. Maybe he catches Bittencourt early on and finishes him there. This could definitely go to a decision. I don't mind it there. It could just be like a little bit of a war there. He's 23 years of age, and Bittencourt's 28, so he's still very young, especially for flyweight. Very young fighter. He can still definitely improve on the feet, but Rocha, 23 years of age, still going to be improving at a very young age. Minus 130, slight favorites, plus 100 for Bittencourt. Again, very close odds here. I don't mind it there, but Tapology is picking Rocha 78% here, 64% by decision, 22% by TKO KO. Again, I can see this one definitely going to decision. I kind of see it being a war. Maybe Bittencourt does eventually get him down, and Rocha ends up getting his self back up on the feet, but I can just see this one being a super close fight, or it can just be Rocha catching him and then finishing him up at like the late part of round one. So nothing too definite there, but I can just see it going either decision or late round TKO or something like that by Rocha. So that's what I have for this one. Let's move on. We have Mauricio Ruffy versus Raimond Magomedaliev. I am going to go with Raimond Magomedaliev in this one. He has shown the ability to beat a UFC level fighter in Anthony Njokuani, obviously the brother of Chidi Njokuani. I believe Anthony Njokuani was like 3-5 in the UFC, so he had a decent little run in the UFC, probably a lot further down the line, like many years ago. He had a little bit of a decent run. I guess Raimond Magomedaliev beat him relatively recently in the last year and 8 months. So he is an older fighter, 40 years of age, I believe Anthony Njokuani was when he fought Magomedaliev here. But I think Magomedaliev is really good on the feet and is able, well, I won't call him really good on the feet. He's really good at mixing in the takedowns with his striking on the feet. And I think that's going to be a really big problem for Ruffy in this one. I think Ruffy did beat did be a 41-8 opponent in his last fight, but I can just see, like in his last and against Manuel Silva, he lost someone by KO. I can just see Magomedaliev just walk him down here, landing some really good punches, catching him, and then maybe even taking him down to the ground and just beating him up by TKO. I don't even mind that one. So Magomedaliev, I think he just has a lot more ways to win in this fight. I think he's going to be a heavier wrestler. He's from Russia, and they have a very heavy wrestling style. I don't see him just standing on the feet. Maybe he does stand up on the feet, try to test that a little bit more. I think he can beat Ruffy. He has a chance at beating Ruffy on the feet. So I don't mind him there. But I can just see him mixing in his takedowns with that and then just pinning him on the ground and winning by TKO in the first round. So I'm going to go Magomedaliev here by first round TKO. 89% picked by Tapology, 68% by TKO KO, 7% by submission, and 17% by decision. Ruffy, 11% picked by Tapology, and they pick him 77% by TKO KO. We'll see what happens with this one. Magomedaliev is a minus 180 in this fight, so I am going to go with a first round TKO where he just pins him on the ground and just beats the crap out of him. The ref just has to step in. Up the card, we have Magomed Gadzhiyasulov versus Jose Daniel Medina. I am going to go Magomed in this matchup. He's very good on the feet, really good range. He's going to be much taller than Jose Daniel Medina. I don't know exactly what the height is for Jose Daniel Medina, but the guys he's fighting and what it looked like in the cage that he's fighting, he looks like a relatively smaller guy. Magomed is a very big dude, 6'3", really good on the feet, very fast, good power in his hands and with his kicks. I think he's going to be able to keep a really good range in this matchup. I think Jose Daniel Medina is going to have to close that range and fight a little bit more in the pocket, fight a little bit closer to him to land anything on him. And I think if all else fails for Magomed, I think he can end up going for takedowns. It is going to be tougher to get a takedown on it like a smaller guy in Jose Daniel Medina, but I think he's just going to be able to get this one done by finish. I can see him end up catching Jose Medina. I don't like when Contender Series fighters are this big of favorites. I'm going to be completely honest, especially after this entire year. Like last year, you would, Bo Nickel, that was a crazy favorite, but it seems like a lot of heavy favorites are a little iffy on whether they'll win or not. So I am a little sketched out by these super big odds because, again, this is Dana White Contender Series, but plus 450 underdog for Medina is really, really big. I might just put like a little bit of something in case something crazy happens, but I am going to go Magomed by finish in the first round. Again, I think he's striking. He's going to be a little bit better here. He's going to keep a really good range. And again, if all else fails, I think you can take him down and then finish him there as well in the first round. So I am going to go with I'm going to go with Magomed Gadzhiyasulov by first round finish. 93% picked by Tapology, 69% by KO TKO, 9% by submission, 15% by decision, and the 7% is picking Medina in this matchup. So I'm going to go with Magomed Gadzhiyasulov by finish by TKO in the first round. Up the card, we have Eduardo Matias Torres versus Victor Hugo Silva. This is a really interesting one because we don't have much tape on Victor Hugo Silva. I believe the last fight I was able to watch from him was like a few years ago in like 2019, 2017. So there isn't much tape on him, which actually really sucks because it's hard to make a prediction in this matchup, especially with how close I think this one could definitely be. Victor Hugo Silva, by the time this video comes out, maybe you'll figure out what the weigh-ins will look like, but I'm just going to say this. In 2022 in August, he fought at 170 pounds, and he is now fighting at 135 on this Dana White Contender Series card. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. He hasn't been at bantamweight in a while. I believe I'm going back to his page. I think this one was at featherweight. This one was at 170. I want to say this one's at 155. So he hasn't fought at bantamweight in a very, very long time. And I'm actually really surprised he's moving down this low for this fight. But I guess when you get your opportunity, you got to strike for it. But Eduardo Matias Torres does not have that great of takedown defense. I'm going to be completely honest, but he is very good on the feet. But Victor Hugo Silva does have some really good takedowns. So and good wrestling from what I saw a few years ago. So maybe if I guess here and say Victor Hugo Silva will be the better wrestler and the guy with the nickname Striker is going to be better on the feet here. Let me check again back to his Tapology page. 8 wins by TKO KO, 8 wins by submission, 7 wins by decision. So it's pretty relatively even. Recently he's got a win by submission, injury, and TKO. So it's been kind of all over the place. Again, we don't have that much tape on him in general, so which kind of sucks. I am going to go with Victor Hugo Silva. It is a very dangerous pick because Eduardo Torres is very dangerous on the feet, but from what I saw a few years ago, I think he will definitely have the ability to at least get better since then. And I'm kind of just, I won't say I'm relying on it, but I'm kind of just edging it that way, seeing that with the fact that he can improve over the next 4 years from the fights that we've seen. I think he can be a little bit better than Torres here. Get the takedowns, or mix in his wrestling with the stand up, and maybe end up catching Torres in like the second or third round. Again, 50-50 fight. Tapology is kind of representing that here. 52% for Torres, 75% by decision there, 48% for Silva, 34% by decision, 45% by TKO KO. If you're betting on this fight, I honestly don't recommend it unless like a big underdog pops up here. But we don't know anything about Victor Hugo Silva recently, or at least I couldn't find anything. So it is a very dangerous matchup, but I'm just going to edge a little bit to Victor Hugo Silva because of the upside from what I saw a few years ago from him. So I'm going to go Victor Hugo Silva maybe by like a second or third round TKO on the ground. If not, I can see this one definitely going to decision. The card tournament event, we have Rodolfo Bellato versus Murtaza Talha. I am going to go Murtaza Talha. I was thinking about going Rodolfo Bellato. He is 10-2. His only 2 losses are to Vitor Petrino, one in 2019 by KO, and the second one in 2022 on the Contender Series, I believe in the main event as well, by KO in the second round. So he did come back to LFA and get 2 good wins. That last fight he did have was extremely boring. I'm not even joking. I was looking on Tapology. I was like, all right, what's on? Oh, Bellato's on there. I feel bad. He got KO'd by Vitor Petrino. Let's see what he can do. He'll probably be on the Contender Series next year. I should watch anyways. Completely boring. I just shut it off. I almost fell asleep to it because he basically just laid on him the entire time. So I was kind of surprised by that. But in that matchup against Vitor Petrino, who is 2-0 in the UFC, I believe just came off of like a submission win, arm triangle against Marcin Prachnio, which is pretty decently impressive for a guy that's like 25 years of age and is a pretty raw prospect. I'm kind of talking about Vitor Petrino, but Vitor Petrino is actually a very solid prospect at light heavyweight. But in that matchup, Rodolfo Bellato wasn't really able to offensively grapple and wrestle to get Vitor Petrino down because, again, Vitor Petrino is a very strong dude, but Bellato's not really known for his offensive grappling that will basically get you down on the ground, and he'll be on top of you trying to get those submissions. He's more of a guy that's good working off his back. I guess either way, if it is on the ground, he does kind of like that, but Murtaza Talha is a guy that does offensively wrestle, and he's a very strong dude. Like he's stocky. It's going to be hard for Bellato to kind of shoot in takedowns on him because I believe he will be a little bit smaller than him. 6'3" for Bellato, 6 foot for Talha here. But again, Talha's stocky, very strong, has good grappling himself, which is why I think this matchup is going to be very entertaining to watch. But on the feet, Bellato will definitely have the advantage here. I believe he has been training with Alex Pereira relatively recently. I think maybe Bellato was helping him with the Jan Blachowicz fight or something like that. I have no idea, but I do know Bellato has been around Alex Pereira a lot recently. So I'm assuming they've been training quite a bit. Maybe they've been cross training a little bit more to help each other in their careers because Bellato is a grappler, and maybe he was helping him against Jan Blachowicz there, and other way around for Bellato in this matchup. But Bellato defensively on the feet is not great. He's very open, which is why he's gotten KO'd by Vitor Petrino twice, because he just ends up getting caught. And the gas tank necessarily isn't there. If this does end up getting grindy and it does become a slugfest, Murtaza Talha might be able to grind out Bellato here, because Bellato, when he got tired defensively, was just unaware. Like he was trying to Anderson Silva Vitor Petrino and ended up just getting caught. So I don't like this matchup for Bellato. I can see him winning it. 100% I can see him winning this. Murtaza Talha, it is a Contender Series after all. He can definitely win this fight. A lot of these people can just win these fights. We made that pretty clear this year. So I am going to go with Talha, though. He is very stocky. On the feet, I think he does stroke really hard, but the technique isn't necessarily there. And I feel like if you are a shorter guy, it's going to be easier to kind of punch a guy like Bellato on the feet, again, who isn't that defensively aware and can get caught. I think it's going to be easier for Talha to kind of push a little bit more, because Bellato is going to have to get a little bit shorter to land some of these strikes. And I don't see him offensively wrestling in this match. And I think Talha is just going to be able to get some of these takedowns. Bellato is kind of just going to entertain the grappling. I just see Talha just kind of grinding him out on the ground. I don't know if he gets a finish here. Maybe he does end up getting a submission, or he catches Bellato by surprise at some point and just drops him, because, again, Bellato doesn't have a crazy chin. Although it is Vitor Petrino, who does have some insane power in his hands. I won't say insane. He does have really good power in his hands. I mean, he does get caught a couple times, and it does seem like he doesn't really have that crazy of a chin. So I think Talha maybe can catch Bellato, maybe hurt him, sting him, go for a takedown, beat him up on the ground. Very strong dude. Talha is on the ground, so maybe he holds him there and pounds him away by a TKO. Maybe moves up and gets the rear naked choke. It's really kind of hard to say that against a guy in Bellato who's very good on the ground. So it is kind of hard to see like a path of victory by finish for Talha. Maybe I'll just go decision because he is kind of a guy that will just grind you out on the ground. So, but a lot of people are saying TKO KO. I wonder if they're thinking like he's going to finish him on the feet, because there's definitely that ability for Talha if he does end up catching Bellato, because Bellato is just so defensively just not aware on the feet. So maybe as Talha grinds him out in the first round, Bellato comes into the second round very tired, and I think Talha will be able to land some strikes a little bit better on. He probably either drops Bellato or he hurts him very badly. He gets a takedown, and I think pounds away on him in the second round. So I'm going to go with Murtaza Talha in the second round by TKO. I think he ends up getting the finish there. Bellato, again, I just don't, especially over 3 rounds, I think he can tire out a little bit more here, especially with how Talha fights. I think he can get him working on the ground as well. So I'm going to go Talha, second round TKO. 79% picked by Tapology, 67% by TKO KO, 19% by submission, 6% by decision. Bellato, 21% picked by Tapology, 52% by TKO KO. This is a really real matchup for Bellato. He can definitely win this one. Again, I'm just going to have to hesitate to Murtaza Talha in this matchup. So let me know what you guys think about this main event. Who do you guys have on this card? And I'll see you guys next time.